Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this week's An Nur the Light. Shukran for tuning in week after week, even though our times are changed ever so often. We are grateful for the support shown to us by you, our viewer. Dr. Musaed Abrahams has been making waves with his innovative approach to new technology in the medical field. We paid him a visit to learn more about his work.
Doctor, technologist and aspiring filmmaker Musaed Abrahams is no ordinary MD. Founder of the groundbreaking company Aviro Health, Musaed has combined two of his passions, medicine and technology.
I come from a family of doctors actually. So my grand uncle, who's like they call him the Dr. Abrahams in Woodstock, he was quite a patriarch in our family. And a lot of my uncles and aunties are actually doctors as well. So it actually just, I fell into that. I've been saying that I want to be a doctor from a young age. So I first did my internship and community service out in Paarl and Holland in Strand. And then I wanted to go overseas to London. But before then, I joined a friend of mine in Kailicha. And I thought it was important to do antiretroviral to learn antiretroviral drugs before I left. And I went there thinking that I'll go there for 6 months, and then I ended up in Kailicha for 4 years, mainly because I had great mentors doing HIV.
In 2009, Musaed joined Doctors Without Borders, MSF, as an HIV training coordinator in Zimbabwe, Mozambique and Malawi. It was here where he was inspired to establish his pioneering company, Aviro Health.
In MSF, I did training of nurses and doctors in HIV. So I was the training director, and people would come down from different countries like Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, come down to Cape Town. I'd run a course here with the local experts. And then through that, I got a scholarship to go to Harvard. And at Harvard, they had a project where you had to come up with innovative problem-solving ideas. And that's where the idea for the app came about.
When I was introduced to this app, I said to myself, this is very user-friendly, very easy to understand, and very easy to use. And I think the nurses are going to like it. If they want to initiate a patient on a certain regimen, they just need to go through it and see the weight of the patient, maybe the results, test results, and say, okay, I need to put my patient on this type of regimen. And it also works out the creatinine clearance for them, so they don't have to go around, look for a calculator for them to work out the creatinine clearance.
As a training coordinator, Musaed observed the challenges faced by healthcare workers when prescribing antiretroviral medication. And in collaboration with a team of digital experts, Musaed set out to innovatively simplify the process.
The challenges were actually at the beginning was bootstrapping it from our own funds. And then I found a designer at boot camp, who looked at the app and said, oh, she also develops apps and she can do a better job at designing it for smartphones, etc. And then, building it along as we came. But we had very good, because of my networks in HIV training, we had very good sort of professors that were standing behind us and vetting the app. And so we had the buy-in from the HIV Clinician Society of South Africa.
In addition to his work as a medical and digital professional, Musaed also cultivates a passion for photography, taking time out of his busy schedule to capture the simplistic beauty and hidden significance of everyday life.
I've always liked photography. I got my first camera when I was 12. It was just a point and shoot. I couldn't really afford film, so I didn't get anywhere with that. When I qualified as a doctor, the first thing I bought was a camera. As soon as things became digital, you had a lot more scope to take it as to learn on the job. And so it's always been a passion of mine. And I find that it actually makes me very happy just to go out, take pictures, show it to people, and print it,
It is reassuring to find someone like Musaed using their talent to benefit people and not profit. The Quran says that for those who believe and do righteous deeds will be an endless reward. Clearly, for this MD, the possibilities are infinite.
There's so much to learn if we just open our eyes and ears. Or you can send in some questions for Moulana Philander and he will oblige.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Q&A on An Nur the Light. I'm Moulana Philander. Our first question today is with regard to the black stone in the Kaaba. The black stone in the Kaaba, what is its origin? The black stone, or in Arabic known as the Hajar al-Aswad, is that stone which is placed in the corner position of the Kaaba. It is said that this black stone was sent down by God Almighty to the Prophet Abraham and Ishmael to show the exact location for the construction of the Kaaba, which is the first house that is built for the worship of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the Kaaba has ritual significance in that it is the place that Muslims face in their prayer, so too the black stone has a ritual significance. The ritual significance is that it is the starting and the ending place for those who circumambulate or who make tawaf around the Kaaba. It is just a stone, and Muslims don't worship that stone, but Muslims revere it as a ritual and part of their ritual practices. Our next question. If we believe that our body parts will testify our sins in the year after, is that true for donated body parts as well? The Quran says, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Have they been created from nothing, or are they the creators? Most definitely man did not come from nothing, and most definitely he did not create himself. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created man. This very question of the recreation of man is also posed in the Quran. أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَلَّنْ نَجْمَعَ عِظَامَهُ. Does man think that we are unable to bring together his bones? بَلَا قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَهُ. Nay, we are capable and most powerful that we will bring together even his fingertips. We see from this that it doesn't matter how a person had died or what had happened to a person's body while he was alive or at the time of death. Nothing is impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it will be easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create insan. That brings us to the end of this Q&A. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
We are on TV, the internet and social media, and these have become the best ways to stay in touch and informed of all that we have to offer. Art is often seen as a creative process, but it can be used for healing too. We explore this topic a little more.
Art has for centuries provided human beings with a canvas to witness some of their greatest exploits, listen to their most beautiful sounds, and appreciate their place within society as well as on earth. It is a legacy of who we are, what we have accomplished, and also how far we've come. But art can also heal those who've been hurt.
I felt that art has a power to heal. I'm using it maybe to heal myself, of which maybe I don't know if it's really doing that, but I've now using it as a voice. Having the education now, I feel I'm empowered to say something, but through art. This is a sewing machine, and it's made with gauze and pins. And gauze speaks about wounds and scars. And I'm referencing this from my mother, who's a seamstress, and she's still working. And my grandmother was a seamstress, and she worked for the Milan then, Cape Pab. And she made all those stunning costumes, but she didn't see one show because it was a space that she wasn't allowed to enter due to the color of her skin. Yes, we were fed and schooled through the machine, but I see it as pain that they've endured. So this machine with the pins evokes that feeling of pain.
Zaima's art can be looked upon as a mirror to the woman she is. Having suffered under the oppression of apartheid and watching her mother and grandmother struggle to make ends meet has had an effect on her. Art became a way of expressing her deep-felt emotions in a creative way.
There's this piece I've called Resilience. And in particular, the word resilience speaks about how resilient a worker must be. And these workers that I've interviewed have been resilient. But inside that word, there's a word called silence. And that's what the workers are. The only time we hear about the workers when there's a protest. Other than that, they are very much in the background, just working away, upholding the economy of which they have very little benefits from. So this piece I'm trying to show that this is what you do your whole life, putting on a button. Because when you enter the factory, you enter as a young girl, and then you do the same task for 30 years. So I'm hoping that maybe by using art I can highlight these issues, pertinent issues, that perhaps over time could heal others, even if it's a little bit.
Her daughter Mishka has grown up in very different circumstances and is well on her way to becoming an established artist.
I cut strips of paper and then apply them to the surface, which is quilling. And that is usually in Islamic patterning. And then I also cut paper and then apply that, overlay that on top of the quilling to make the entire artwork. I've always had a fascination with paper because there's so many various colors that you can work with. The texture is easy, it's forgiving, you can always change your mind. And the way I found for my work specifically, it could bend and could curve, and you could cut it and fold it and do different treatments to it in order for you to get the end result.
Mishka attended the prestigious Ruth Prowse School of Fine Art, and it was here that she discovered her love for working with paper. She's also one of a handful of Muslim artists who are working in this medium and finds inspiration in early Islamic arts.
My inspiration comes from Islamic architectural ornamentation usually, and sometimes I just sit with a piece of paper and a protractor, and I start with circles and then it extends to creating a big Islamic pattern or a small, and then just maybe repeating that. And with the work being repetitive, it shows the daily prayers and rituals that Muslims do on a daily basis, and it shows the discipline that Islam teaches us through its structure. It is really time-consuming, but in a way, it's also a metaphor for the way I wish to display Islam as calming and meditative.
Another artist whose body of work can be found in galleries, homes and mosques all across the world is South African-born Ahmad Soni. For him, art is not only therapeutic, but it's also his job.
Man, it's the whole idea of being creative, man, of creating things, putting things together, putting colors together. You can throw colors together, but sometimes it doesn't really recognize, like these youngsters, they will put certain colors together and it doesn't make sense to you, but to them it makes sense, and that's the whole idea of art. Art is not about achieving a masterpiece. Art is all about enjoying yourself. My wife always tells me that she can quickly see when I'm in a bad mood because it reflects in my paintings. Normally what paintings, if you work in dark colors, people can sense quickly that you're not feeling fine, that you're sort of in a dark mood. Whereas you paint with happy colors like yellow and orange and red, then people know, okay, now you're uplifting yourself and your mood is different. I'll go through periods as well, I will go through a blue period, I will go bright color period.
Art has become a source of inspiration, but also meditation as we reflect and ponder our life's journey. For some, art is therapy, and to others it is a means of escape or a source of inspiration. As Pablo Picasso says, art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life.
Our wellness segment has been greatly received, and it's all thanks to our resident doctor, Nihal De Vries. She joins me once again to talk about this week's topic, diabetes. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Nihal, and shukran for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam, Mariam.
So tell us, what is diabetes?
To understand diabetes, one needs to know what happens when we eat. So all our food that we eat, whether we're eating a burger or a slice of cracker bread, gets converted into glucose or sugar. Insulin is is a hormone that actually allows the glucose or sugar into the cell so that energy can be converted. When you have diabetes, you have a problem with this insulin. So you either have a shortage of insulin or you have a decreased ability for your body to use the insulin. And as you can imagine, with all the sugars laying in the bloodstream, over time it does cause damage to your vital organs.
So what are the symptoms of diabetes? How can one know that they are diabetic?
Okay, so as you can imagine, you've got a lot of sugar in the bloodstream. Your body's trying to get rid of the sugar. So you have an increased thirst, you have an increased frequency of urination, dry mouth, fatigue, weight loss. And also you will be plagued with bacterial and fungal infections because they love the sugar in the bloodstream.
Okay, so if I've got any one of those symptoms, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I get checked?
Okay, so when you have some of those symptoms, you have to actually consult your healthcare professional. There you will get a diabetic screen, which comprises of basically a randomized blood sugar. It's a finger prick test that you just prick your finger. If that level is above 11.1, they will actually recommend that you do a fasting glucose test. We also do a urine dipstick test where you can pick up the glucose in the urine. General treatment principles of diabetes is diet. So diet is the most important thing, and the best thing is actually to consult a dietitian. In terms of medication for diabetes, so your type 1s, they will get the insulin that will administer on a daily basis. Your type 2 diabetics will receive medications, will receive oral anti-hyperglycemics with or without insulin.
Well, at least now that we know more about diabetes and how to manage it, shukran, Dr. Nihal, for joining us, and we look forward to having you again next time.
Thanks for having me, Mariam.
From health and wellness to our oh-so-favorite subject, food. They say you are what you eat. Let's find out what's cooking.
So today I'm going to be making a traditional Cape Malay dish known as Penang curry. And as the name suggests, it comes from the island of Penang. It's one of those quick and easy curries to make on a cold night. And today I'm making the chicken version. And what you need for that is the following ingredients. I've got 3 large onions that's been finely chopped. I've got 1 kilo of chicken, or about 1 whole chicken that's been cut up for curry. So that means thighs cut into 2 and breasts cut into 3 pieces. I've got 2 teaspoons of tamarind paste that I've mixed with a little bit of water just to make a pulp. I've got 2 heaped tablespoons of garlic. I've got 4 teaspoons of curry powder. I've used the medium version here, but you can use the hot and up it by another teaspoon if you want it even hotter. I've got 60 ml of sugar, and then I've got some whole spices. And my whole spices are 5 pimento, also known as allspice, 5 cloves. I've got 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and that's a heaped teaspoon of turmeric because you want that rich golden color. And then I've got bay leaves, just about 3 bay leaves and 2 pieces of stick cinnamon. And then my optional extras are my green chili sliced in half. I've got 2 of those. This is a serrano chili, so it gives nice heat. It's not too hot. I've got curry leaves, another option, but it's something that I like in my Penang curry. 60 ml of vinegar just to give you that sour edge, and then just our oil for frying. And it's as simple as making a normal curry. So the first thing I'm going to do is heat up my pot. And once my pot's nice and warm, I'm going to start roasting off my whole spices. And until I get the smell of my aromatics, I know I'm not ready to go. So now that my pot's warming up, the first thing that goes in is my whole spices. That's my cloves, pimento, cinnamon and bay leaves. So I'm just going to let this roast in a dry pan with absolutely no oil until I get to smell the aromatics. And I'm starting to smell it now. I'm going to add oil. I'm using sunflower oil. I'm going to pop in my onions. And this I'm going to braise until it's lovely and golden brown. And another tip that I have to speeding up the browning process of your onions is a sprinkling of salt. And that allows the moisture to cook out of the onions and for them to caramelize really well. And remember, don't stir too often. So my onions are beautifully caramelized. I'm now going to add my chicken, my curry leaves, and my green chili. And I always get asked why I like cutting my chicken pieces this small. And the reason is because when there's a smaller surface area, it absorbs that much more of the spices and the flavoring. There's nothing worse than getting that big piece of chicken that tastes like nothing but chicken. I want my spices to cover and permeate every piece of chicken so that no matter what part it is, the dry breast or the juicy thigh, they're all equally delicious. So now that this is nicely just warmed through, all I'm gonna do is add my curry leaves. And again, this is optional. The fresher the better. These are the dried ones. And then I'm adding my green chilies. Again, these are 2 serrano chilies that I've just slit down the middle, not chopped up, just to add added flavor. A quick stir through, and now I'm gonna start adding my spices. So the first thing I'm gonna add is my turmeric, and that's gonna give us that beautiful, rich, golden color. And this is a teaspoon of turmeric. And then my curry powder. You can see that everything that goes into this curry is these rich golden hues. And I'm adding my tamarind paste. And because there's nothing worse than tasting raw spices, I'm going to stir this through and let the spices just roast in the heat before I add any liquids. I'm going to pop on the lid and let that just steam. So once you start to smell the toasty masala that's coming from this pot right now, that's when you know it's a good time to start adding some liquids. It means my masalas and my spices are roasting, and that's where that delicious smell is coming from. So I'm just going to add a drop of water. And you can hear that sizzle. And to this I'm going to add the vinegar, which is the sour element to our dish. And the sugar. Now sugar is preference. I do equal portions of vinegar and sugar, so it's 60 ml of each. And the garlic I leave for the very, very last, because there's nothing worse than the bitter taste of burnt garlic. So my chicken's cooked, and there are 2 things left for me to do, and that's add my garlic. And the reason why I add the garlic so late is that it maintains its sweetness and it doesn't go bitter. I'm just going to do a handful of fresh coriander. And all that this is going to do is brighten up all of those golden colors. And just add another depth of flavor. And there you have it. Penang curry done in a jiffy.
For those eager to try out the recipe, details are posted on our Facebook page. Please tell your family and friends to like our page so that we can keep growing. From me, Mario Mokwanda, Salang Hantle, Assalamu Alaikum.